The orchestra idea came literally while I was watching an orchestra performance and watching all the different sections coming in at different times to make the complete piece of music. At the time, I was struggling to define what SRM was, as it seemed to be all things yet different things at the same time. Part of the issue, I think, here is people seem to hold different meanings in the phrase SRM, so the orchestra concept helps understand the different sections or types of intervention that might be needed at different times, according to how important a supplier is. Making this happen in practice is the hardest thing. It requires the entire organization to be aligned to a single approach to manage its supply base. Without this, any initiatives here could fail. It also requires the organization to be really certain who their important suppliers are and, more importantly, what makes them important in the first place. This allows the different interventions then to be tailored to the specific supplier scenario. Well, some are. Some think they are, and some are trying but failing. If this was easy, then everybody would be doing it by now. In reality, this is one of the hardest things to implement, especially as part of this involves choreographing how humans from different organizations with different agendas interact. Those companies that have managed to implement SRM initiatives well are realizing the success that it can bring. So category management and SRM go hand in hand. They use many of the same tools and approaches, but each in different ways. Category management is a strategic approach that looks to maximize value across what you buy. SRM is a strategic approach that looks to maximize value according to who you buy from. By integrating the two approaches, we have the optimum strategic sourcing covering both dimensions. If SRM lives in the procurement department, the results will be suboptimum. SRM has to be an organization-wide philosophy, which means the organization needs to understand all of the points of interface with suppliers and agree how these interfaces will work. In practice, this means educating internal stakeholders not only about what is expected of them, but why it is important and the bigger picture benefits that are possible. Those outside of procurement rarely receive any training in how to manage suppliers, and so can easily miss how suppliers seek advantage. With education comes the understanding of why a joined-up approach is beneficial to the business and why it can bring such great benefits. Well, I thought about this long and hard. Traditionally, SRM approaches have tended to focus on the immediate supplier. However, the supply chain is also host to risk and opportunity, and increasingly as organizations seek to develop corporate social responsibility initiatives, they're looking further and further down the supply chain. Well, it's all about people. Companies don't have relationships with companies, but it's the people in those companies that have relationships with the people in the other companies. So joint working is about creating the conditions for people to get to know each other and work together towards a common goal. And one of the keys to this is creating time for social interaction. Many people fall for this because it's the supplier's job to build relationships with you. If they can do this, then they can create a sense of obligation and build the relationship to their advantage. However, SRM is about deciding for certain who is important to us and working on developing the relationships that we need with the suppliers we decide are important. If we're clear who is important and who is not, then we can manage the supplier who wants a relationship where we don't need one. Well, quite simply, because there's both risk and opportunity in any supply base. We can ignore it, but if we are concerned with the supplier or a supply base risk, then we need to manage our supply base. But the real opportunity is about unlocking value, I think, from our supply base. This could be reduced cost, could be improved in efficiency, but it could also be innovation, and it could be the potential for suppliers to contribute to the future brand equity of our business. That is, if we can figure out how to work together to do this. Well, it depends. It is a bad thing if you're the supplier providing something that could be leveraged elsewhere in the marketplace. But if you have something of value, then SRM provides a means to engage and build a relationship with the support and blessing of the customer to the mutual benefit of both parties.